session. My name is Arpita Pal. I am the Learning Experience Design Manager at Inova Health System, and I am here to talk about how you can design dynamic microlearning programs to empower talent, leadership, and performance using 7 tabs. However, before I delve into today's presentation, let me give you a micro introduction about Inova. Inova Health System is a leading healthcare organization with over 22,000 plus team members serving our communities in Northern Virginia and the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And here is our small but mighty TLO team from last Christmas, and we are responsible for developing programs related to talent, learning, and organization effectiveness. So, without further ado, let's get started. Christopher, let me just start with a poll. So, Christopher, if you can help me publish it.
You know how you're supposed to. You know what the rules are to get me to put it out here. Come on, you got to say, show that poll.
Yeah, show
All
that
right,
poll.
yeah. Here we go.
So, how important do you think microlearning is for talent development in a healthcare setting?
Keep those votes rolling in.
Okay,
All right.
that's right. Let's close the poll now and let me just go ahead with the presentation. So, the first question is about why microlearning. So, as an organization, Innova has had a big shift in recent years, both structurally and culturally, with our focus on becoming a people centered system of care. So, that meant rethinking how we design our learning programs to be more learner centered, accessible, inclusive, equitable, and to empower our team members to grow their talent, leadership, and performance. So, we first focused on developing learner personas to understand what our team members' needs are, what are their motivation levels, what really influences them to change behavior, and what challenges they might be facing. And it really helped us to design more efficient learning programs. So, for example, from this slide, you can see that most of our team members are healthcare workers and time is precious for them. And the nature of work makes them more vulnerable to burnout. So, the concept of microlearning has been a savior in providing key learning solutions and experiences just in time in small chunks and has been very successful in improving learner engagement, focusing on specific action oriented solutions and promoting self determined learning. So, how did our journey really start with 7 tabs? So, I think one of our medical education teams started using it back in 2021. But my personal journey started when I was co designing a microlearning program called Leadership Moments. And we incorporated 7 tabs as a just in time tool that our frontline leaders could practice on the go. This program was also featured in Forbes, as you can see, and it was a huge success. So, microlearning, this program, Leadership Moments, was built on the concept of microlearning with 4 modules called Key Moments. And each key moment was just for 10 minutes long, dispersed to our leaders at regular intervals. And each of these key moments had a leader tip tool. And we figured that 7 tabs would be the perfect microlearning tool that we could incorporate as a leader tip tool. So here is an example of how 7 tabs was used. where leaders could access a quick listening guide on the go with actionable steps to practice with their team. We'll look at it together, but when you watch it, notice how we use the concepts of storytelling and images to activate systems of cognition, both our conscious thinking and our emotions, to get visceral reactions and influence behavior change. So let's take a look.
Sound doesn't come through, just so you know, Arpita.
Oh, okay. All right. So basically, there is a soundbite here and then an action that leaders could follow. What is fueling this emotion? Where are you gaining or losing energy? And then again, a very small video bite here about micro express about subtext, and there is an onion here and an analogy here. In this situation where an onion, what's the problem one layer under this onion? What's the issue outside the onion? And then I again talk about micro expression, and then the leaders could say and ask, is there anything else coming up for you that you would like to share? So, this is all about global listening, a short leader tip tool. So, but the way we use seven taps has really evolved, and I would like to share a few more examples of how we use it now as a breakout room exercise to make the learning experience more engaging, as a job aid or after training tool. For example, after onboarding training, a micro learning about how to set up your payroll. As a bite size, just in time learning, for example, the yearly performance review check in guide. As a pre training material to jog the memory and activate prior lived experiences so the learners know what's upcoming. And as a reinforcement tool, and I will use the same DEI experience where we try to reinforce a message about how to be curious with others. I'll share a QR code with you and notice how we used thought provoking questions, real life scenarios, consequences, and images to tell a story, inducing learners to think about the topic and focus on the behavior. So here is the QR code. Take a moment to experience it and also comment in the chat about how you felt about it. Okay, so I'll just move forward now and let's shift gears to talk about our design process. So, our design process is primarily based on the problem that we are trying to solve, the expected learning outcome, the level of behavior change we hope to achieve through an action oriented learning experience. Now, let me give you an example. The yearly performance review is just around the corner, and maybe it has already started in your organization. And if you work in a fast paced, agile work environment and don't have too many resources, here is how you can create an engaging microlearning course focusing on actionable behavior. And I would like to talk about with the evolution of AI, we too are experimenting with it. So, my first suggestion would be to use a generative AI tool like ChatGPT, as it will help you to generate ideas. So before designing anything on ChatGPT on 7 tabs, here is how I gave a prompt to ChatGPT 3.5, which is the free version, on the topic of performance review, and it suggested 5 learning courses. Now, always consider your learner personas, their needs, their motivation, what problems they might be facing during a performance review, and always check with your subject matter experts to finalize topics that make sense. So, I'm just going to select the first topic, performance metrics and evaluation, then come to AI Builder of 7 tabs and give a prompt, yearly performance evaluation and metrics. And here is the initial iteration. Now, I call this as the storyboarding phase, and I reflect on a book I read called Back of the Napkin, where author Dan Rome discussed about ideating solutions through visual thinking. And popular history has it that Mickey Mouse was sketched at the back of a napkin during its initial iteration. So that's what Seven Tabs did for me. It storyboarded and visualized the structure of the instructional design. Now I can keep iterating and refining the instructional design for the outcome I expect from the micro learning. So once you have a structure, it's much more easy to refine it later. Now, here I have a few suggestions that generative AI can also give you false data and content. So always check with your subject matter experts and other resources to ensure its authenticity. And Gen AI, including 7 Tabs AI Builder, is not your replacement. You are the learning expert who can make the experience more human centered. So use your expertise to make the design more human centered. But use Gen AI or other AI tools to generate ideas and speed up production time. And sometimes your SMEs may also have a lot of information to share, but remember to focus on the problem that you are trying to solve, the expected learning outcome, and what the level of behavior change you expect to get from this micro learning experience. And break the information into small chunks. And I love the fact that 7 Tabs by design compels us to break instruction in small chunks to reduce cognitive overload. And if you're using images, videos, GIFs, I would suggest that you use images that tells a story and there is a connection with the content and leads to a new understanding and conversation. And it is not only for decorative purpose. And then use a consistent visual hierarchy that is easy to follow. And last, I would say that make your design accessible and equitable so a larger learner personas can benefit from it. For example, maintaining color harmony. So even Inova has a brand identity and a color palette, but I always make sure there is color harmony and I do color contrast checking using tools like Adobe Color Wheel and use inclusive images and language. And 7 Tabs also has the closed caption and all text feature, so that's fantastic. So do use that. So here is the final iteration, and I will give you the QR code once again and leave you with this 2023 yearly performance check-in quick guide. And this experience received the maximum engagement out of all the learning assets that I created this year. And close to 90% of our team members found it helpful, which also turned into timely performance check in. So, here is the QR code, and I hope you found my micro session helpful. So, thank you, and check the QR code and let me know how you felt about it.
Arpita, I love this on so many levels. So first of all, one, everybody, can we get a wild round of emojis in the to go remember bottom right, this is where the emojis are, so pound it. A couple things that you brought up that I thought were just fantastic. First of all, one, I love the idea of how you're using it for breakout sessions. I mean, I just think of the way that breakout sessions, so often you put people in breakout rooms and, there's that wasted time where they're like, what are we supposed to be talking about? What are we supposed to be, and you might try and share it through the push it out, but you can actually create the resource and share that with people that they can use in a live session. What a fantastic way to leverage the technology to do more than just, hey, outside of a live session. I love that you're using it to augment it. And then I also love the way you're using generative AI to work together. I saw somebody comment on it, and I say this all the time. You treat it like a brilliant intern. It's a partner. It's there to help you with things. It's not something you would just turn over. And for those of you who are not engaging with it, again, it's a huge helpful resource. And for those of you who may be using Chat GPT, another one to check out that recently released Cloud 3 this week, that I actually think is doing a phenomenal job, is Anthropic's Cloud 3. Their tool, very similar to Chat GPT, but I think the way it writes and things like that, it's another brilliant tool that you can use. There's also Google Gemini. But so thank you for that. I'm curious. You shared the response rate and people really engaged with it. Were there any challenges, or was there any skepticism when you started going down this path, even either with people you worked with or yourself as you were kind of going down this path?
Yeah, of course. Whenever there is a something new that's upcoming, there is always this skepticism whether it will work or not. So same with microlearning. I think in previously a lot of the learning program was based on only like face to face training programs, but with e-learning also similar challenges were faced, whether people will be able to learn anything or not, whether it will make any impact. And even with chat gpt, people are again afraid that it will replace you, but it's not like that. There just needs some change management that needs to happen. There needs to be some awareness that people need, and resources so that you can play around with whenever there's a
Yeah.
new technology or new form of learning coming. So those are some of the things that I guess we also faced.
No, well, and again, you just hit on it there, where I think there is this concern of like, well, what role will we play with generative AI? And I think you hit on a great way that we work together as a team. And actually, it sounds like you were actually able to spend more of your time on that higher order kind of critical thinking and tweaking rather than starting from scratch, which actually can be extremely time consuming. So I think it's fantastic. All right. Well, with that, thank you so much, Arpita, for that. And as we transition, and like she said, we will share this stuff out. You were able to scan the QR code. She will be answering the Q&A